My sister, fee-kind Buddhist, loved her prayer beads more than lives. Skinned a maid for stealing meat, called it karma, made me bleed for her prayers, handed our clan to rebels. Reborn. I smiled, sliced her flesh first. Karma's a bitch, ain't it? Welcome to my channel. If you like this story, please click to subscribe. There are more wonderful stories waiting for you to listen to. Chapter 1. My sister was different from others from a young age. There was an extra, strange bone on her back, shaped like a standing human figure. My father and the First Lady summoned a bone reader. After feeling the bone on my sister's back, the bone reader was so frightened he nearly lost his balance. He declared with certainty, "This is the Buddha's bone. 1 in 10,000. This girl is the reincarnation of a bodhisattva. You must treat her with the utmost reverence, for she will bring great fortune in the future." My father was overjoyed. On the day of my sister's full moon banquet, they invited everyone in the capital city, hosting a 3-day feast. The news of my sister's Buddha's bone spread far and wide. From a young age, the eldest madam fed my sister a vegetarian diet and gave her dew collected before dawn to drink. In her words, my sister was the reincarnation of a bodhisattva. Noble and pure, how could she be defiled by meat? As she grew older, my eldest sister not only abstained from meat herself but also forbade everyone in the mansion from eating it. Eating meat is a sin of killing. The smell of meat is foul and repulsive, and it taints my Buddha's bones. Who among you can bear such a burden? Over the years, everyone in the mansion looked pale and emaciated. One day, a young maid fell ill and was so hungry she couldn't bear it anymore. She secretly bought 2 ounces of pork, cooked it, and ate it. Her sister discovered her. Ignoring the frail maid, she cried and begged for mercy. The older sister, with a stern expression, ordered someone to cut off a piece of flesh from her body, equal in size to the pig that had been killed. As compensation, the maid screamed in agony for a long time before bleeding to death. Her sister just chanted a Buddhist prayer and coldly said that this was her retribution. Their father and the First Lady had always treated their eldest daughter like a precious jewel, waiting for her to bring them great fortune. But instead, the rebel army attacked the imperial city, and their sister colluded with the rebels, stole their father's token, and opened the city gates. After entering the city, the rebels rushed straight to the Lin family, who were leading the resistance. In a fit of rage, they slaughtered every member of the Lin family. The eldest sister, dressed in a white silk robe as pure as snow, clung to the rebel leader's chest, untouched by blood. She spoke calmly, "If I do not go to hell, who will? You should understand me. By sacrificing you, I can save the lives of all the citizens of the city. This is a great merit." The rebel's sword pierced my shoulder, tearing out my bones. I was in excruciating pain, sweating profusely, and slowly opened my eyes. My eldest sister's familiar, haughty voice echoed in my ears. "Even eating a piece of meat is killing a living being. I possess the Buddha's bones and have compassion for all beings. All beings are equal in my eyes. There are no distinctions of high or low, noble or base. What a sin!" In the past, the Buddha cut his own flesh to feed an eagle. I will cut a piece of your flesh to atone for your sins. I saw the young maid kneeling before my older sister, trembling and pale. I realized I had been reborn. The young maid was named Lian Yun, a lowly maid in the mansion. Because she had fallen ill, the doctor deemed her too weak and malnourished, advising her to rest and recover. She secretly bought 2 ounces of meat, but before she could take a single bite, she was caught with the pot still on the stove. Lian Yun cried and knelt, begging for mercy. "Miss, I only did this to survive." My sister remained unmoved and ordered her attendants to hold her down so they could cut a piece of meat of the same size from her body. "Cut meat? Huh? Whose meat is it anyway? I stood up, grabbed the dagger from the table, rushed to my sister's front, and grabbed her well-maintained white arm. With a swift stroke of the knife, I cut off a piece of her flesh. A few drops of blood splattered onto my hand. It felt incredibly satisfying. My older sister was horrified, screaming in pain. Lin Ji, what have you done? I told you to cut her. This cheap slut who stole my man. The dagger in my hand was snatched away. My sister was so precious. No one had ever dared to hurt her. Her compassionate eyes glared at me darkly. I explained calmly. The Buddha will not forgive you if you cut her flesh. Sister, you possess the Buddha's bones and are more noble than others. Only by sacrificing yourself and cutting your own flesh to atone for other sins will the Buddha show mercy. Moreover, this will spread the news of your kindness. I glanced at the kneeling maid. Lian Yun. Is that right? The young maid was clever, she understood immediately. She knelt down and bowed her head to my sister in gratitude. Miss is so kind. Willing to cut her own flesh to atone for my sins. This great kindness. I have no way to repay you. My sister was so angry she could barely breathe. But she valued her reputation as a Buddhist maiden who pitted all living beings. She couldn't refute it for the time being. The flesh has already been cut. Let this maid go. Lian Yun's frail face lit up with relief, and she cast a grateful glance at me. Stop. Who said to let her go? Isn't you the Buddha's daughter? You wouldn't even step on an ant. Yet you want to take the life of a maid who merely ate a piece of meat? I feigned ignorance. My elder sister stiffened, glanced at the wound on her arm, and clenched her teeth in anger. Rules are rules. I've said it before, all beings are pitiful, no one is allowed to kill or eat meat. The meat. I'll pay for it. But this servant has broken my rules, punish her with 15 lashes to teach her a lesson. A cold light flickered in my eyes as I watched Lian Yun being led away. The corners of my lips twitched slightly. 15 lashes were better than having flesh torn from her body. In my previous life, my sister had established these rules to prove her uniqueness as a Buddhist maiden, claiming that all beings were equal in her eyes. She ordered someone to cut a piece of flesh from Lian Yun's chest. Lian Yun's screams echoed through the air. The other servants in the mansion were terrified, their faces pale, unable to bear the sight. But my sister burned incense and prayed to the Buddha, twirling the prayer beads in her hands. If the punishment isn't severe enough, how can she atone for her sins? I'm doing this for her own good, so she won't suffer in hell after death. The knife cutting into her flesh. She must be in so much pain. The eldest sister looked at the Buddha statue and shed a few fake tears. This is how livestock feel when they are slaughtered. I'm just letting her experience it for herself. Lian Yun was bleeding profusely. But when the eldest sister found out, she remained expressionless and did not allow anyone to find a doctor to treat her. This is her fate. Whether she can survive depends entirely on her destiny. After 15 lashes, the punishment was over. I went to see Lian Yun and gave her medicine to treat her wounds. Lian Yun's face was drenched in cold sweat. But at least her life was spared. Second miss. She looked at me with gratitude, her voice barely audible. Miss, you saved my life. From now on, no matter what the miss asks me to do, I will be willing to risk my life for her. Soon, news of my wounding of my elder sister reached the ears of the eldest madam. The eldest madam sent someone to summon me. The eldest madam sat on a soft chair, looking at the doctor bandaging my sister's wounds with a pained expression. I knelt on the cold floor tiles. Qing'er is a Buddha's disciple. Even a minor injury will bring divine retribution upon us. As she spoke, the eldest madam glared at me fiercely. After the doctor left, the eldest madam seemed to remember me. Lin Ji, are you jealous of Qing'er? How dare you hurt your own sister for a lowly servant? Qing'er is a Buddha maiden, protecting our entire clan. Have you forgotten how I raised you from childhood? Of course I hadn't forgotten. Lin Qing possesses Buddha's bones, she must not be touched or injured. Not even a single strand of hair. My existence is to protect my elder sister from disaster and ensure her safety. Yet this so-called Buddha's maiden has brought about the downfall of our clan. The wound on my shoulder, pierced through to the bone, seemed to ache anew. I drew a shallow breath. The eldest madam spoke slowly and coldly, the second young miss is restless and jealous, causing unrest in the household. Send her to the nunnery outside the city to worship the Buddha and copy sutras. To calm her heart. The nunnery outside the city was actually a brothel, where men of the lowest class were entertained. Madam, I did this for my sister, to help her regain her reputation. Tears welled up in my eyes as I spoke. Feeling wronged, under the First Lady's piercing gaze, I continued. My sister sacrificed herself for me, cutting her own flesh. Now there are scholars outside composing poems praising her kindness, saying she is truly a Buddha's daughter reborn. Such a good reputation will reach the palace. The Empress Dowager, who believes in Buddhism, will surely reward my sister. The eldest madam's expression softened slightly. My sister is a Buddha's daughter, the kindest of all. How could she blame me for such a minor mistake? I have lived 2 lifetimes. I know very well that my elder sister values her reputation above all else. Her jade-like arms were wrapped in thick bandages, marring their beauty. She furrowed her brows. The look she gave me held no mercy, only cruelty. She pretended not to hear and sat elegantly, sipping her tea. She didn't care about my fate at all. I kowtowed heavily, looking terrified. Lady, please lock me up. I'm willing to be locked in the woodshed, without food or water, and pray for my sister. The eldest sister, sitting upright, spoke softly in a reluctant tone. It's not that I'm heartless, but I am a Buddhist nun. From the moment I was born, I was different from others. If you hurt me and go unpunished, you will face retribution. That night, the Lord ordered that no one was to come near me to bring me food or drink. In the middle of the night, Lian Yin dragged herself over, her body covered in wounds, and secretly came to see me. She had saved her evening meal and, with her frail little hands, slipped 2 steamed buns through the crack in the door and handed them to me. Second young lady, I have nothing better to offer you. Only steamed buns. Please eat some to ease your hunger. I took 1 bun and gave 1 back to her. Lian Yun, do the whip marks on your body still hurt? She hesitated for a moment before whispering. No, it doesn't hurt anymore. The eldest sister valued her Buddhist maiden reputation above all else. If someone ate meat, it would defile her purity, and she would never show mercy. I held Lian Yun's hand. Do you want to take revenge? Lian Yun was so scared she almost dropped the steamed bun, but the eldest miss is a Buddhist maiden. Anyone who harms her will face retribution. How dare I? She only has an extra bone. Whether it's a Buddha bone or a demon bone, we won't know until we dig it out. Lian Yun's legs went weak, but she gathered her courage and said, no matter what you do, I will help you. The woodshed was near the back door of the Buddhist hall. It was unguarded and filled with medicinal herbs. I deliberately asked the First Lady to punish me by locking me in there, because in my previous life, my sister used the ashes from the Buddha's incense to cure the Prime Minister's chronic headache, which brought her great fame. Everyone believed she was a bodhisattva reincarnated to endure trials, capable of curing all illnesses. However, the Buddha hall in the mansion was only accessible to the eldest sister, and it was always guarded. Only the wall behind the Buddha hall was low, with medicinal herbs growing outside. My sister did not allow anyone to step on or approach them. From here, it was easy to climb into the Buddhist hall. In this life, the Prime Minister, who had come seeking treatment for his headache, appeared as promised. I was locked in the woodshed, where no one paid attention to me. So I climbed over the wall behind the Buddhist hall and hid behind the curtain. Soon, my sister entered the Buddhist hall. She mixed pain-relieving herbal juice into the incense ash water. I understood immediately, this was why she was the incarnation of a bodhisattva, capable of curing all illnesses. After my sister left, I poured out the original incense ash water from the window and replaced it with a new bowl. I continued hiding behind the curtain. My sister brought out the prepared incense ash water and recited with a devout voice. As a Buddhist nun, I recite sutras day and night for the welfare of all beings. This sincere heart has moved heaven, and this incense ash can help the Chancellor rid himself of illness and evil spirits. The Chancellor outside took it and drank it with some doubt. Chancellor, do you feel better? My older sister spoke confidently. The Chancellor held his forehead, his face looking terrible as he shook his head. This is all nonsense. It has no effect at all. Miss Lin, are you really a Buddhist nun? The eldest sister, who had always spoken with compassion for all beings, finally showed a hint of panic. That's impossible. However, she quickly regained her composure, snorted disdainfully, and turned the blame back on him. It's because the Chancellor isn't sincere enough and doesn't show enough respect to the gods and Buddhas. I possess the Buddha's bones, everyone knows it. Those who wish to see me must queue for days. The eldest madam, who had come to greet the guests, chimed in. As long as the Chancellor adds some incense oil money and commissions a golden statue of the Bodhisattva, we can obtain the Buddha's maiden's protection, and the incense ash water will be effective. The temple doors opened. My sister walked in front. Her snow-white flowing robe, embroidered with gold and silver threads, shimmered brilliantly under the light, dazzling the eyes. A single robe was worth a fortune. But the Lin family was merely a military unit guarding the city gates, and my father's annual salary was only a few hundred taels of silver. A single Buddha's bone had become the lifeline for the two of them. A cold smile tugged at the corners of my lips. Soon, this money tree would wither away. The Chancellor followed closely behind his eldest sister and entered the Buddha hall. He put his hands together in prayer, then looked up at the Buddha statue. His face, that of a calm scholar in his late 30s, suddenly changed. His beard trembled, and it took him a long time to speak. The Buddha statue is crying blood. The trembling voice caused everyone in the Buddhist hall to look up. One by one, crimson blood droplets fell from the golden Buddha's eyes, which seemed to gaze down upon the masses. The golden Buddha was weeping blood, a terrifying sight. The eldest sister's face drained of color, and her legs gave way, supported by the eldest lady beside her. The Chancellor snapped out of his initial shock and glared coldly at his sister. The eldest daughter of the Lin family claims to be a Buddhist nun. How can this be explained? You are devout and pray for the welfare of the people. So why is the Buddha shedding tears of blood? In the future, it would be best to refrain from these mystifying tricks, he warned sternly. The Prime Minister's headache had not been cured, and now he had witnessed the Buddha statue shedding tears. His face was cold and grim as he swept his sleeves and left. The once pure and sacred Buddha's maiden, my sister, was so wronged and filled with hatred that her eyes turned red. The eldest lady, mustering her courage, dipped her fingertip into the blood on the ground and examined it closely. Her voice suddenly became sharp. Chinger, don't cry. There's a lowly servant in the mansion who deliberately chose today to harm you, fearing that your reputation as the Buddha's maiden would spread and you would associate with the elite. This blood was clearly just smeared on the Buddha statue. Mother will find the person responsible and have her skinned and dismembered to vent her anger for you. Taking advantage of the chaos in the Buddhist hall, I climbed out of the window and returned to the woodshed for a moment. The First Lady was furious and blocked the door of the woodshed with a group of servants. Break down the door and see if the Second Lady is still there. If she's not, find her and beat her to death, she ordered lightly. The door of the woodshed was broken open. I was too weak to move, huddling in the pile of firewood, shivering as I looked at them. "Madam, what's going on? What happened?" The First Lady's voice was as cold as her eyes. "Strip the second young miss and check her body for wounds." The eldest madam suspected me first. There were no livestock in the Lin family mansion, the blood could only be human blood. It must be said that the eldest madam was incredibly shrewd. 2 or 3 old maids rushed forward to strip my clothes. My face turned pale, and I felt utterly humiliated. I struggled desperately, trembling all over. A slap landed on the old woman's face. "I am still a proper young lady from the inner courtyard. How dare you treat me this way just because of a suspicion? In broad daylight. You want to strip me of my clothes? How am I supposed to live my life from now on?" I sobbed, asking the eldest madam, "Please explain clearly. Madam, what mistake I have made that you want to strip me naked to verify my identity?" The First Lady's eyes were sharp and piercing. "At this point, you still won't admit it? You secretly escaped from the woodshed, dabbed blood on the Buddha's eyes, drove away the Prime Minister, ruined your sister's reputation as a Buddhist nun, and destroyed her bright future." The eldest madam spoke each word coldly, her voice as sharp as a knife, tinged with blood. "There's no need to delay any further. You have injuries on your body, there's no room for you to continue living. Killing a lowly concubine's daughter is something I can easily cover up." With tears in my eyes, I glared fiercely at the old servant the eldest madam had brought with her. There's no need for these servants to act. If the madam suspects me, I will do it myself. Though I am not the lady's biological child, I am still the second young miss of the mansion. If the lady cannot find any evidence, please give me an explanation. The First Lady's face tightened. A voice filled with compassion and elegance interrupted. "It wasn't you. Who else could it be? Did Mother misunderstand you? Lin Ji, admit it. You're jealous that I have Buddha's bones and was born more noble than you. A mere mortal. So you're willing to use despicable means to destroy me." Hearing that the first wife had found the culprit, the eldest sister appeared at the door with an ethereal air, her eyes sharp. "Strip her of her clothes. If it's really her, send her to the authorities with nothing to cover her." The old women surrounding me received orders from the eldest sister, rubbed their palms together, and rushed towards me. I seized the opportunity to push the old women aside and ran out of the courtyard. "Catch her!" the eldest wife shouted fiercely. I still remember that not long after the Prime Minister passed away in my previous life, an official from the Ministry of Rights came to visit. My sister used the same trick to cure his leg ailment, earning 2 praises in a single day. Within days, the streets were abuzz with rumors that the Lin family had produced a living Buddha, whose kind heart would bring fortune to anyone who gained her favor. From then on, my sister was the talk of the town. Several princes vied for her hand, using every means at their disposal to win the favor of the eldest sister. When I saw the red-robed official from the Ministry of Rights standing next to my father, I ran so fast that I fell not far away. The maids and old women behind me caught up and said triumphantly, "Second young lady, you wanted to run away, didn't you? Let's see where you can run to now. You framed the Buddha's daughter, so you will get your just deserts and die a horrible death." I sobbed uncontrollably. The first wife frowned in annoyance, bridging her mouth and take her back. My cries disturbed my father and the officials around him, who were not far away. They walked towards us. "Stop!" My father shouted to stop them. "How dare you servants treat the second miss like this?" I took the opportunity to throw myself into my father's arms, trembling with fear, and stammered, "Father, the First Lady and my sister are going to kill me. It wasn't me. I had nothing to do with it. Father, please save me." I glanced over. As expected, the high-ranking official from the Ministry of Rights standing beside my father had already furrowed his brows. Isn't the eldest daughter of the Lin family blessed with the bones of a Buddha and extremely kind? To the point that she cries when she sees flowers fall? He couldn't help but speak up. My father became anxious. Lin Ji. Don't talk nonsense. Qing'er is the kindest person there is. She doesn't even eat meat. How could she beat you to death? Someone. Take the second young lady away. When it came to my sister, my father's heart would always lean toward her and cover for her. I let out a cold laugh. Now that I had been reborn, would I still be at their mercy? Today, the Buddha statue suddenly wept blood, and the first lady and my sister insisted that it was my doing and wanted to kill me. Father, are you not going to do anything? Since that is the case. I suddenly laughed out loud and took off my shoulder garment in front of the Lord of the Ministry of Rites. Let my daughter be examined here to prove her innocence, rather than dying an unjust death. After such a commotion, my father's face turned pale, and he ordered someone to take me away to be examined. 3 or 5 old women examined every part of my body and left with grim expressions on their faces. They did not find any wounds. The Buddha statue weeping blood had nothing to do with me. During this time, I couldn't stop crying. It was said that the judge of the Ministry of Rites was upright and impartial. Soon, what happened at the Lin family's house today would spread throughout the imperial city. The Buddha statue weeping blood was a very bad omen. The Buddha's daughter, who should have shown mercy to all living beings, had joined forces with her biological mother to bully and frame a little concubine's daughter. My father tried repeatedly to persuade the Lord to stay, but to no avail. He didn't even bother to treat his leg injury and hurriedly left. My father was furious and, in a rare display of anger, scolded the First Lady for causing trouble in the family. The First Lady's cries made me feel good. She was unwilling to give up and sobbed. I did this for Qing'er. Qing'er is a Buddhist nun and the hope of our entire clan. Our future prosperity depends on Qing'er. The Buddha statue weeping blood must have been done on purpose. I will investigate. I will never let that bitch get away. She will frame Qing'er again. I smiled slightly. The first wife was right this time. It wasn't enough that the Buddha statue was crying blood. In this lifetime, I would dig out her Buddha bone with my own hands and make her pay for the life she owed me. The First Lady searched everyone in the Lin family, not even sparing the old man who emptied the chamber pots. But she was disappointed. None of the servants had any fresh cuts on them. My eldest sister, who had always been high and mighty, locked herself in her room and threw tantrums for several days. After nightfall, I carried a lantern and walked into the servants' quarters. Lian Yun had been whipped 15 times and was still not fully healed. The servants in the mansion despised her, fearing she would drag them down, and had driven her out to the low storage room outside the wing. Second miss. The light of the lantern momentarily illuminated her gray, hazy eyes. I sat on the edge of her bed, changed her bandages, and lowered my voice. It worked. The blood you gave me made the golden Buddha cry tears. Lian Yin secretly brought me steamed buns, and I told her all of my plans. After making the gods and Buddhas cry blood, could my elder sister still continue to be the noble and holy Buddha's daughter? After hearing this, Lian Yun did not hesitate. The servant will help the second young miss. Do you need blood? The whip marks on her body hadn't healed yet, and when she exerted herself, fresh blood flowed out. She filled a small bottle for me. Is that enough for the second young miss? If not, the servant will squeeze more. Enough. I held her hand. My sister believed she possessed Buddha's bones and looked down on those of lowly birth. I would use the blood of those she deemed lowly to ensure she never rises again. The eldest madam is cunning and ruthless. If I used my own blood, she would inevitably discover it. Lian Yun, with her whip wounds, couldn't even get out of bed, let alone climb onto the golden Buddha. The eldest madam would never suspect her. Just like in my previous life, the streets and alleys were abuzz with talk about the Lin family's Buddha girl. But this time, there were no princes vying to propose marriage. Nor were there commoners crowding at the mansion's gates to kneel and beg the Buddha girl's elder sister to grant them a single glance, pleading for her to heal them. What kind of Buddha girl? She looks more like a demoness to me. The lord of the Ministry of Rites saw it. They treated their concubine's daughter harshly, forcing her to undress in front of strangers to prove her innocence. The young lady cried terribly. I heard that on that day, the Buddha statue wept blood, which was very strange. The Prime Minister saw it with his own eyes. In order to protect the reputation of the Buddha girl, they bridged the blame onto the second daughter, who was born out of wedlock. Hearing these rumors, the older sister feigned disdain. A bunch of lowly commoners, not even worthy of tying my shoes, dare to gossip about me. They'll eventually face divine retribution. But her fingers, hidden beneath her sleeves, were clenched until they turned purple. That night, the third prince sneaked into the mansion and met with his legitimate sister in private. The legitimate sister, dressed in a flowing white gown that made her look like an immortal, was untouched by the dust of the world, appearing pure and noble. She leaned weakly against the third prince's chest, her eyes brimming with tears that threatened to fall. Your Highness, someone is jealous of my Buddha's bones and is trying to ruin my reputation. They say I mistreat my younger sister, but I wouldn't even harm an ant. How could I do such a thing? The third prince, Qin Ling, comforted her tenderly. You are the purest and kindest woman in the world, which is why you possess the Buddha's bones. I believe you. I will find the person who framed you and punish them severely to avenge you. How about that? I hid behind the rockery. After dinner, I came out to admire the moon and stumbled upon my sister and the third prince meeting in secret. I bit my hand tightly, tasting blood between my lips. But I didn't let go. The third prince's face, no matter how many times I am reborn, I will never forget it. He is the traitor who will one day rebel against the throne, forcing the emperor to abdicate and seizing power. It turns out he had already been involved with my legitimate sister, which is why she stole the token and let them into the imperial city to kill and burn. I pressed my hand against the spot on my shoulder where I had been stabbed in my previous life. Pulling out the bone, blood welled up in my eyes. I looked up at the moonlight and laughed coldly. Killing one is killing. Killing two is also killing. My sister's eyes, like two pools of water, looked at him gratefully. Thank goodness for your highness. I suspect this has something to do with my younger sister. She's always been jealous of me. Since I have the Buddha's bones, she's just an ordinary person. So she wants to destroy me. The third prince felt even more pity for her, his tone filled with murderous intent. A mere concubine's daughter? Should I dispose of her for you? You can destroy her however you like. Such a careless tone made it sound easier than crushing a bug. My sister's voice softened. There's no need for your highness to get blood on your hands. A concubine's daughter? I have plenty of ways to deal with her. What's most important now is to help me restore my reputation. The insults they've hurled at me have left me so distressed I can't sleep at night. Qiner has suffered so much. Don't worry. The Empress Dowager is a devout Buddhist. Her health is failing, and in a few days it will be her birthday. She plans to invite high monks into the palace to pray for her. At that time, I will recommend you to her. As long as the Empress Dowager's condition improves slightly, the world will believe you are a Buddha's daughter, capable of protecting the people and bringing good fortune. My eyes darkened. In my previous life, my sister, as the Buddha's daughter, could heal people with a bowl of incense ash water, and her reputation spread far and wide. The Empress Dowager sent people early to invite her into the palace to recite sutras and pray for blessings. My sister, in an effort to please the Empress Dowager, received rewards and promised to write a prayer banner for her, praying for the Empress Dowager's recovery from all illnesses. Not with ink, but with her own Buddha's blood. The Empress Dowager was deeply moved upon hearing this. My eldest sister, however, secretly approached me, adopting a condescending and superior demeanor. As a Buddhist maiden, I cannot be injured or bleed, or else the gods and Buddhas will punish the world. Writing a prayer flag for the Empress Dowager is a supreme merit. You are my younger sister, so I am bridging you this opportunity. My elder sister coaxed and coerced me into letting her draw blood from me every day so she could write the sutras. She promised me that she would tell the Empress Dowager that I had also contributed to the prayer flag and that I would receive a reward. After a month, I was pale and on the brink of death. But my elder sister was unhappy. Lin Ji, are you trying to slack off? This sutra banner is also a birthday gift for the Empress Dowager. Whether our Lin family can stand out and rise to prominence depends on the sutra banner. Can't you endure it a little longer? Sister, please find someone else. If you keep this up, I'll die. My pleas only made my sister furious. Replace someone? How can that show sincerity? What if the blood is uneven in color and the Empress Dowager notices? She ordered the servants to hold me down and cut me with a knife. Slice by slice. I lost too much blood, damaging my vital organs. From then on, my health deteriorated, and I became extremely sensitive to the cold. Even in summer I had to wear thick clothes. The prayer flag written in blood indeed attracted everyone's attention and praise. My elder sister deliberately painted her face white with powder, walked unsteadily, and appeared weak and frail from the blood loss. It's just a little blood, it's nothing. I am the reincarnation of a bodhisattva. I cannot bear to see the suffering of the world and wish I could take the Empress Dowager's place. My sister shed 2 tears of compassion. The Empress Dowager was moved and felt pity for her. She immediately gave my sister the title of Mysterious Jade Girl Who Saves the World, built a Buddhist temple for her, and had a life-size statue of her maid. And me? My sister didn't even mention me once. In this life, my elder sister still wants to become a famous Buddhist nun. Of course. I will help her. The dark blue night sky was streaked with several shooting stars. Early the next morning, I heard people talking about a meteorite that had fallen not far from the imperial city, making a loud noise. Fortunately, it didn't hit anyone. The common people were buzzing with excitement. Even the emperor urgently summoned the Imperial Astronomical Bureau to determine whether the omen was auspicious or inauspicious. The meteorite had created a large crater. A crowd gathered around, but no one dared to approach. Only I stepped forward, examining the meteorite closely. Suddenly, I exclaimed, "How strange! There are characters on this meteorite." The onlookers rushed forward all at once. I acted quickly, picked up the stone with the words, tucked it into my robe, and clutched it tightly like a treasure, returning to the Lin family estate. Before long, even the authorities were alerted, and they searched everywhere for the meteorite. A meteorite from outer space actually had words on it. Because of the last time the Buddha statue wept blood, my older sister and the First Lady suspected me. There were spies watching me every moment in the mansion. I left early in the morning and returned with something in my arms, muttering, "There are words on this stone. I'll be able to sell it for a good price when the time comes." The maid outside the door overheard every word. My sister followed the first wife and rushed over. "Lin Ji, you snuck out of the mansion early in the morning. Did you go to pick up the star stone? That is an auspicious sign from heaven. Quickly hand over the stone with the words on it." The first wife's eyes flashed, and her tone was aggressive. I shook my head repeatedly, looking confused. "What star stone? I didn't see any." With so many people gathered around the big pit, how could I have picked it up? I refused to admit it. My sister sneered, "Lin Ji, don't deny it. If you hand over the auspicious star stone, it will count as a merit for our Lin family." She lowered her voice, filled with resentment. "I'm the Buddha's daughter. Such a stone should have been found by me. The eldest madam pulled her hand, patted it gently, and gave her a meaningful glance. As long as the star stone is found on me, it will ultimately be credited to my elder sister. The eldest madam didn't say much to me either, but gave a direct order, search. The authorities are looking for it too, it can't be hidden in the mansion. Don't touch my things, I shouted loudly, my eyes fixed on the bed. 2 maids rushed forward and held me down forcefully. My elder sister followed my gaze and sneered arrogantly, so it was hidden here. She pulled out a fancy wooden box with a lock from under the bed. After ordering someone to break the copper lock, the eldest sister picked up the stone and examined it. However, the stone was inscribed with seal script, and she couldn't recognize it at first glance. The eldest madam hurriedly sent someone to fetch a scholar from the academy. After recognizing the characters, the scholar's expression changed drastically, and his pupils trembled as he looked at the eldest sister. The Buddha's daughter has descended, and the world will prosper. This is a rare auspicious sign. Who in the world did not know that her sister was born with Buddha's bones on her back, making her the kindest Buddha's daughter? After a moment of shock, her cheeks flushed with excitement, and the corners of her lips couldn't help but curve upward. The eldest lady was so overjoyed she couldn't speak. I stammered, interrupting them, that's the stone I found. The eldest lady's expression darkened. What do you mean? The stone you found? Is there anyone in the courtyard who can vouch for you? The servants in the courtyard fell silent, not daring to defy the mother and daughter to speak on my behalf. My sister shot me a smug and disdainful glance. The eldest madam cherished the star stone, stroking it with a smile. It's engraved with Buddha's daughter. Is there another Buddha's daughter in the world besides my daughter? Even if you found it, it's because you've been blessed by Chinger. She changed her expression. Do you dare to keep it for yourself and ask for a reward? These familiar, piercing words were ones I had heard in my previous life. In my previous life, I refused to let my sister bleed to paint the prayer flags. The eldest madam had the same expression then. She pitied her own daughter and couldn't bear to see her eldest sister hurt. So she ordered her servants to force me to bleed. I was in agony, my face pale, begging the eldest madam to spare me. The eldest madam said casually, Chinger is a Buddhist maiden. Drawing prayer flags for the Empress Dowager is the highest honor. As her younger sister, shouldn't you help her? Using your blood is a sign of respect. You, a mere mortal, can at least share in the Buddhist blessings. Once the prayer flags are completed, you will also receive blessings. Lin Ji, you should thank your elder sister. The eldest madam isn't the one who loves to take credit, stealing others' achievements and placing them on her own daughter. I will use this to destroy their reputation completely. I suppressed the smile on my lips. I pretended to be reluctant and stared at the stone. The first wife stood up and said softly, bridging this stone and put it away. When the master returns, we will go to the palace. I stayed in my courtyard and heard the laughter of the 3 of them from afar. A divine stone fell from the sky with these words engraved on it. It is the Buddha protecting our Lin family. My father's laughter echoed from afar. Chinger was born different. Who can blame her for being the Buddha's daughter? The mother and daughter chimed in unison. I couldn't help but laugh along. That night, my father took them all to the palace to present the inscribed star stone to the emperor. News arrived that night. After the emperor examined the stone, he was greatly pleased, deeming it a heavenly omen of good fortune. With the assistance of the 3rd prince, the emperor agreed to bestow a title upon my elder sister and construct a temple for her. It seemed that the events of a past life had not changed in this one. My sister was once again the center of attention, filled with pride. The gates of the Lin mansion were shrouded in incense smoke. Poor and sickly villagers traveled from afar, hoping to catch a glimpse of my sister. She had them driven away. She twirled the prayer beads on her wrist, furrowing her brows in disgust. What kind of lowly commoners dare to come before me? Now even high-ranking officials must queue up and offer thousands of gold coins and incense money before I'll consider seeing them. That day, the third prince paid a visit. The Empress Dowager is unwell, but upon hearing that the star stone bears the inscription of the Buddha's maiden, she has specially requested that Miss Lin be invited to the palace to pray for her health. My sister raised her eyebrows and her face was radiant. She changed into a wide-sleeved flowing dress that best complemented her elegant and refined temperament, and walked nobly in front of me. You are just a vulgar person who can only look up to me for the rest of your life. You used a Buddha statue to make me cry blood and hid the star stone, but I still rose to fame and became known throughout the world. After my elder sister left, I laughed with anticipation. The fish has finally taken the bait. My sister spent 3 days in the palace, day and night, reciting sutras and praying for the Empress Dowager with utmost devotion. 3 days later, she returned home and found me, just like in her previous life. Lin Ji, I have agreed to write a prayer banner for the Empress Dowager. To show my sincerity, I have decided to write it with my blood. But you know, as a Buddhist nun, I cannot be injured. Will you help me? Once the prayer banner is completed, I will definitely ask the Empress Dowager to reward you, unlike her hesitation and refusal in the previous life. Upon hearing this, my eyes lit up, and I looked both surprised and honored. This is a great act of merit. Are you really willing to use my blood to write the prayer flag? My elder sister thought I would refuse, but seeing my eagerness, she looked down on me. I could have asked someone else, but since you are my younger sister, I decided to give you this opportunity. Come tomorrow to let me draw your blood for the ink. I felt sorry for her and said, it takes a month to write the prayer flags. Your hands are as delicate as jade. If you keep writing like this, your fingers will develop calluses and won't look as beautiful anymore. Why don't I write them for you instead? Just ask the Empress Dowager to speak well of me. Though the legitimate sister claimed to be a Buddhist nun, she cherished her appearance above all else. She glanced at her own slender, fair fingers and hesitated. The prayer banner for the Empress Dowager is of immense value. Lin Ji, don't even think of getting any ideas. I didn't rush to explain. I took the paper knife from beside me and cut open my palm. Using the blood from my palm, I copied the Buddhist scriptures onto the canvas, word for word. When the blood dried up, I cut myself again. My elder sister stood beside me and watched coldly for a while. She sneered, "You're so obedient just to get credit? How vulgar. I'm not like you who cares about such empty fame. Enough. You can copy the sutras, but hand them over to me in a month. I'll have someone watch you. Don't even think about pulling any tricks." Lin Ji. I trembled with fear, sister. How dare I? This sutra banner is a gift for the Empress Dowager. If anything goes wrong, our entire family will suffer. My sister nodded her head nobly. You know your place. I slowly clenched my palm, feeling the pain from the wound in my palm. My biased father and evil first wife. They all deserve to die. I would never copy the prayer flags for her if it meant disaster for the entire family. A month later, I rolled up the copied prayer flags and sent them to my sister. What's that smell? She frowned suspiciously and reached out to unfold the prayer flags. I held her hand, sister. After I finished copying the prayer flags, I offered them before the Buddha. They absorbed the scent of sandalwood from the outside. The blood used to write them naturally carries a metallic odor. The prayer flags are a birthday gift for the Empress Dowager. According to custom, they must be unfolded in her presence to be effective. She slapped my hand away and sniffed carefully. It's the scent of sandalwood. Open the prayer flags. I want to inspect them myself. My back tensed, and my heart raced. Before the prayer flags could be opened, the maid by my sister's side rushed in. Miss, the third prince's carriage has arrived. He's here to take you to the palace. My sister was delighted and stood up. She glanced at the sutra, then looked at me. Lin Ji, if you dare to do anything, I won't forgive you when I return. I didn't dare to say anything and respectfully bowed to her. My sister snorted coldly and ordered someone to take the prayer flags to the palace for the birthday celebration. I looked at her back with a half-smile. Return? If I can even return, then we'll talk. The eldest sister fiddled with her prayer beads, but her face couldn't hide her excitement as she boarded the third prince's carriage and entered the palace together. At the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, high-ranking officials and nobles gathered, clinking glasses and toasting one another. My sister, just like in my previous life, presented a heavy, heartfelt prayer banner. All eyes at the banquet suddenly focused on her. My elder sister remained calm and composed, gently fingering the prayer beads on her wrist. It seemed as though all the attention from others was nothing more than fleeting clouds to her. Dressed in a white gown that seemed to float with ethereal grace, she appeared as pure as a lotus flower blooming in the golden splendor of the grand hall. What is this? The Empress Dowager also took an interest. The eldest sister's face was covered in white powder, and her slender figure swayed slightly, making her appear even more fragile. This servant is concerned about the Empress Dowager's health. She cannot eat or sleep properly. So I wrote these prayer flags with 10,000 words, praying for the Empress Dowager's health and longevity. The Empress Dowager nodded approvingly. Miss Lin, you are truly a reincarnation of a bodhisattva. Such a compassionate heart, you have truly put your heart into this. As long as it can bring the Empress Dowager health and ward off all illnesses. Even if I were to shed some of my own blood to write the sutras with Buddha's blood, what would that matter? The eldest sister bit her lip, and her eyes instantly filled with tears. Not only the Empress Dowager was stunned, everyone in the grand hall whispered and discussed the matter. She actually wrote the sutras with her blood. This is truly a compassionate Buddhist maiden, worthy of the title. No wonder Miss Lin looks so pale and weak. The Empress Dowager was deeply moved and immediately ordered, quickly bring a chair and help Miss Lin sit down. The third prince, both heartbroken and proud, walked over to his sister. Qing'er's heartfelt gesture is unmatched by anyone. The Empress Dowager must reward her generously. The Empress Dowager nodded repeatedly. The third prince said, Then let me personally open the sutra banner for the Empress Dowager. When the sutra banner was opened, a layer of oil paper fell off. Immediately afterward, a foul odor wafted toward them. The Buddhist scriptures written in blood, under the influence of the stench, appeared grotesque and terrifying, devoid of any sacred aura. A swarm of green-headed flies swarmed onto the prayer banner, greedily feeding on the blood-stained characters. Protect the Empress Dowager. Quickly protect her. The eunuch beside her reacted first and stepped in front of the Empress Dowager. The hall was swarming with flies that couldn't be driven away. The Empress Dowager's face turned pale with fear and anger. What is going on here? Where did all these flies and insects come from? Lin Qing, are you trying to kill me on purpose? Her sister was so scared that her lips trembled, and tears streamed down her face. I don't know. It has nothing to do with me. This prayer banner and the Buddhist scriptures on it weren't written by me. She could no longer maintain the composed elegance of a Buddhist maiden, retreating in fear and waving her hands frantically. It's Lin Ji, my younger sister, Empress Dowager. Please discern the truth. She deliberately framed me. She was like a drowning person clutching at a straw, bridging all the blame onto me. The Empress Dowager said sternly, Quickly throw away this foul-smelling prayer flag and burn it. At that moment, I was sitting in the side courtyard of the Lin family, practicing my calligraphy at a leisurely pace. After a long time, I looked up at the direction of the imperial palace. The birthday banquet should have started. The wind blew up a corner of the rice paper. I murmured, The wind is rising. Having experienced the events of my previous life, I had already devised a plan. I was waiting for my elder sister to come find me to write the prayer banner. Using my own blood to copy the prayer banner for her? How could I possibly do that? I had simply bribed the kitchen maid through Lian Yun to use pig's blood instead of my own. I also added something else to the blood, gold juice. Every day while copying the scriptures, I burned incense to mask the smell of the gold juice. After finishing the copying, I sealed the scriptures with a layer of oil paper to prevent the smell from escaping. As long as the scriptures remained sealed, no one would detect the odor. But once opened, the putrid stench of blood would attract swarms of flies and mosquitoes. The banquet must have been quite lively. Of course, my elder sister had also sent a maid to monitor me. But she claimed to be a Buddhist nun, abstaining from meat herself, and was even stricter with those around her. She wouldn't even allow them to touch a drop of animal fat. How can someone who can't even eat enough to fill their stomach be loyal? I simply prepared a plate of meat-filled plum blossom cakes each day, and the maid ate them until her mouth was greasy, unable to put them down. She even turned a blind eye when I copied the sutras. However, the sutra banner that attracts insects with its foul smell is just the beginning. I wrote the word death in a piece of rice paper. In the grand hall of the palace, my elder sister stood there with tears in her eyes, lonely and stubborn, looking so pitiful. In an instant, she had fallen from being a holy Buddhist nun to a witch who attracted flies. The third prince stood in front of her, protecting her. His expression was gloomy, and he spoke emphatically. Please investigate this matter thoroughly. Grandmother, Qing'er's half-sister is cunning and malicious, and has repeatedly framed Qing'er. Grandmother should question her. The Prime Minister and the Lord of the Ministry of Rites stepped forward. Last time, the Buddha statue wept blood. This time, the prayer flags attracted insects. Could it be that everything was done by the second daughter of the Lin family? The second daughter is really powerful, the Lord of the Ministry of Rites said sarcastically. He couldn't stand seeing the strong bullying the weak and oppressing the weak. The Prime Minister also said in a deep voice, "Last time I visited the Lin family, I heard that the second daughter was locked in the woodshed as punishment, and later it was found that she was framed. This time, are you going to push the blame onto her again?" When she first entered the hall, the eldest Miss Lin insisted that she had written the prayer flags with her own blood. Now that insects have appeared, she denies everything and claims it was done by her younger sister? He shook his head and sighed. I can't imagine what kind of life that second daughter must have led in the Lin family. It really was her. The legitimate sister was so anxious her voice changed. She's the one who framed me. She's jealous of my Buddha's bone and has repeatedly made me look foolish. However, everyone present, except for the third prince, did not believe her. The Empress Dowager's expression grew solemn, but she had not yet announced the punishment for her sister. The emperor, who had just dismissed court, entered the hall with a gloomy expression. He shot a piercing glance at the legitimate sister and barked out an order, "Bring her here. Imprison this impostor in the dungeon and await further orders." The legitimate sister was so terrified she forgot to cry. Her body trembled uncontrollably. The third prince knelt down and pleaded on her behalf, "Father, what crime has Qing'er committed? Have you forgotten the words engraved on that star stone? Only a Buddha maiden can bring prosperity to the realm. Dare you mention that stone again?" The emperor flew into a rage and kicked it away. That stone suddenly shattered into pieces today. The astrologer said it was an omen of great misfortune and the downfall of the nation. She is the culprit. The eldest sister's legs gave way, and she collapsed to the ground. That stone was also found by Lin Ji. She went mad, muttering to herself, "It's her. She planned everything. Your Majesty, the Empress Dowager, believe me, everything is her doing. She wants me dead." The emperor, enraged, laughed bitterly. It was she who found the stone. On that day, The three of you entered the palace to present the auspicious stone. Why didn't you bring her along? Why didn't you mention her once from start to finish? My older sister, who had always been so high and mighty since birth. At this moment, under the contemptuous, mocking, hateful, and fearful gazes of everyone, her face was as pale as a corpse, and she couldn't utter a single word of defense. The Lin family mansion. It was already dark, but the eldest sister hadn't returned yet. Father and the First Lady were still celebrating. The first wife poured wine for him. My father's face was flushed with joy. He held the first wife's hand and praised her. You are so blessed to have given birth to a Buddhist girl like Chinger. The first wife was shy and proud. Chinger presented a sutra banner written with her own blood. She must have amazed everyone and received praise from the Empress Dowager. She was invited to stay in the palace for dinner, which is why she hasn't come back yet. Such honor and fortune are something some people couldn't attain in several lifetimes. As the First Lady spoke, she cast a disdainful glance at me. I sat quietly in the shadow of the lamp, my lips curving slightly upward. Laugh now, soon you'll be crying. My father hadn't finished his cup of wine. The soldiers burst into the Lin household and presented an arrest warrant personally approved by the emperor. Miss Lin, under the guise of a Buddhist maiden, you have been practicing sorcery, deceiving the emperor and the people. You have been imprisoned and may soon be executed in public. My father's wine cup shattered in his hands. The eldest madam fainted upon hearing the news. This can't be. The first wife snatched the arrest warrant and tried to tear it up. Give me back my daughter. My daughter has the bones of Buddha. Anyone who harms her will suffer retribution. The soldiers laughed. The star stone that your Lin family sent was broken, and the prayer flags made by the eldest daughter of the Lin family attracted countless stink bugs, which angered the Empress Dowager. How dare you say she is a Buddha girl? She is clearly a demon girl reincarnated. The eldest madam's fingers went limp as she cried out loudly. This can't be true. In the end, my father took the arrest warrant. They couldn't wait another moment. My father went everywhere to make arrangements and finally brought us into the prison to see my sister. My eldest sister was curled up in a pile of rotten straw, her white silk dress stained with dirt. My parents were heartbroken. The eldest madam fainted several times. They swore to rescue her, but my sister glared at me viciously and said, "You slut. You're happy to see me in this state, aren't you? The third prince will rescue me." Even now, she still had some pride and arrogance left, and she wiped the dust off her white dress. I have the bones of Buddha, and it is said that whoever has the bones of Buddha will rule the world. The princes won't abandon me, they'll find a way to send me out. Once I'm out, Lin Ji will be your doom. You used every means to frame me, I'll repay you in full. I didn't take it seriously and laughed lightly. My gaze swept over the extra bone on her back. Sister, tell me, after we dig out this bone, will anyone still be willing to help you? My elder sister lunged forward, losing all her composure. You wretch! How dare you harm me? Heaven will punish you, and you will die a miserable death. Her words had no effect on me. Someone who has already died once, what is there to fear from heavenly retribution? Back at the Lin household, the eldest madam rushed forward, about to slap me across the face. You worthless creature. You have no good intentions. Do you think you're even worth a single strand of Chinger's hair? The eldest madam, who had been eating only vegetarian food for years, had no strength left. I grabbed her wrist and slapped her across the face instead, sending her stumbling to the ground. Madam, calm down. Speaking without restraint won't help you accumulate merit for your Buddha daughter. My father just happened to step into the courtyard. The First Lady covered her face and sobbed, pulling on my father's sleeve to complain. Lin Ji is disobeying her superiors. She's ruined Chinger. She's the most noble Buddha's daughter. Yet she's been sent to prison. She even dared to hit me. This is trying to drive us to our deaths. My father shouted angrily. Lin Ji, apologize to the lady immediately. I stopped pretending. Apologize? What do I have to apologize for? The first wife is telling the truth. I am trying to force them to death. I spilled the blood on the Buddha statue. The star stone is also fake. I soaked it in nitric acid. And it will crack in 2 or 3 days. And that prayer flag. The smile on my lips was as sharp as a knife. You want to use my blood to curry favor with the Empress Dowager? Dream on. I can only send her to hell. Isn't you sister a Buddhist nun? Why didn't she escape disaster? What's the difference between what she did and what a demoness would do? I didn't hide the sarcasm in my eyes. My father and the first wife were stunned for a moment. The first wife's eyes were about to bleed. She admitted it. She admitted everything. Quickly. Take her to the authorities. I laughed. Take her to the authorities? Who would believe you? It was the current emperor who denounced my sister as a fake Buddhist nun. My father's face turned ashen. He clutched his chest and gasped for breath. Someone. Open the ancestral hall and fetch the family register. Such a heartless and treacherous creature. Betraying her own sister and mother, she must not be spared. I'll kick her out of the house and let her fend for herself. I watched coldly as my father drew a line with his red brush and crossed out my name from the family tree. From now on, I was a dead person in the Lin family. And there was no longer a Lin Ji. The first wife smiled smugly. My father threw a piece of paper severing our father-daughter relationship in front of me. Get out! I never gave birth to such a wicked, unfilial daughter. I ran my fingers over the paper. Finally, I had the life-saving token. I had deliberately said those words to force them to sever our father-daughter ties and expel me from the Lin family. Once the Lin family was wiped out, I wouldn't be dragged down with them. Since my rebirth, I had been careful in every step. After obtaining my elder sister's calligraphy, I dared not relax in my practice. All for this day. I will forever remember the pure and untouched figure of my elder sister, nestled in the arms of the rebel prince, regarding everyone else as ants. She killed so many people without a shred of remorse, then turned from a Buddhist nun into the empress by the new emperor's side. In this life, I will sever their path to power with my own hands. Using my elder sister's handwriting, I wrote a distress letter, stained with blood and tears, and secretly sent it to the third prince. The third prince harbors rebellious intentions, but he hides them well. Perhaps only my sister knows. But I have been reborn and know the future's course. In the letter, I spoke in my sister's voice, recounting the tortures I endured in prison, how pitiful I was, how much I longed for him, and begged the third prince to raise an army to rescue me. This letter was never received by the third prince's men. I deliberately had it sent to the wrong place, where it was intercepted by the emperor's attendants and delivered to the imperial study. There is no father-son bond in the imperial family, let alone any trace of familial affection. To vie for the throne, one would rather kill the innocent than spare the guilty. This letter will be the perfect spark. I rented a small room in an inconspicuous alley and used all my savings to redeem Lian so he could stay by my side. Lian knew I loved fish, so he went out early in the morning to buy some lively grass carp and cooked soup for me. Now that we've left the Lin family, we can finally eat meat. Lian held the fish in one hand and covered her heart with the other, her face still trembling with fear. Miss, there are so many soldiers in the city now, patrolling everywhere. Has something big happened? I took the fish from her hand and replied calmly. Yes. Something big has happened. Someone deserves to die. The third prince had aroused the emperor's suspicion, and after his fiefdom and title were stripped away, he could no longer endure it. He rebelled years earlier than in his previous life. The outcome was predictable. The third prince was still weak, with few allies, and the emperor was not yet ill. The emperor personally led several campaigns, forcing the third prince into retreat. If it weren't for his loyal followers risking their lives to protect him, the third prince would have been captured and killed long ago. Due to the internal strife within the imperial family and the turmoil in the capital, the common people were living in fear. I knew the time had come. It was time to retrieve my sister's Buddha's bone. In this life, the third prince was too preoccupied with his own survival to save her. I covered my face with a veil, gave a few copper coins to the naked children in the alley, and asked with a smile, "Did you all remember the poem I taught you earlier?" They replied in soft voices, "We all remembered." Someone began to sing, and soon all the children in the imperial city joined in. The Buddha's bone is not a Buddha's bone, it is a demon's bone. Sacrifice this bone to the heavens, and the world will be at peace. The common people were already living in dire straits due to the wars, and this poem gave them an outlet for their frustration. They began to firmly believe that it was the extra bone on their sister's back that had caused the chaos in the world. Many people threw dung and other things at the Lin family's house. Lord Lin didn't dare go to court, and in just a few days, his hair turned white. As for the eldest lady, she wasn't much better off. Her once proud back could no longer stand straight, and she dared not even mention that Lin Qing was her daughter. The emperor, who had come to quell the rebellion, finally remembered his eldest sister imprisoned in the dungeon. He issued an edict: expose her bones in the street. Remove this demon bone and bring peace to the realm. Her sister was taken to the execution cart, but she still maintained the dignity of a Buddhist nun. "You can't kill me," she said with conviction. "The third prince is deeply in love with me and will definitely come to save me. I have the bones of a Buddha. I am not an ordinary person. If you hurt me, you will all die a terrible death and suffer retribution." Lord Lin and the First Lady were afraid of being implicated and didn't even dare to show their faces. Only I, the disowned Sister Wo, had been expelled from the family and cut off all ties, accompanied my elder sister on her final journey. "Sister, don't look. The third prince is now a fugitive, wanted by the entire realm. He cannot save you." My elder sister glared at me, spit. "You're lying to me. I won't believe you." I didn't get angry. I looked at her with a cold smile. "Sister, don't you value this Buddha bone more than anything else? When we were little, our nanny accidentally touched it, and the First Lady almost beat her to death." My sister was overjoyed. Has the emperor changed his mind and decided to let me enter the palace? I am a Buddha girl. Only by respecting and treating me well can the world enjoy peace and prosperity. I said regretfully, "The emperor has proclaimed to the world that you possess demon bones and must have them removed to appease the people's anger." My elder sister was led to the execution platform. That bone, 1 in 10,000, bearing the highest honor, was torn out. I looked at the blood on the ground. Hatred and satisfaction mingled in my heart. In my previous life, she let the rebels into the city. The rebels, blinded by bloodlust, slaughtered the Lin family and then went on to massacre and humiliate innocent civilians. The soldiers tore at my clothes. "You are the younger sister of the Buddha's daughter? The Buddha's daughter is so pure and noble. I'm sure you must taste just as good." I fought desperately, pleading for help from my eldest sister, who was as compassionate and noble as a divine being. She lowered her eyes, playing with her prayer beads, as if she couldn't hear or see me. I killed the soldier who was on top of me, but I was stabbed repeatedly with a sword, my bones being pulled out. The pain of having my bones pulled out, my legitimate sister finally tasted it too. My legitimate sister, with her bones pulled out, bled profusely. She begged those around her to bandage her wounds. But without the emperor's decree, who dared to treat someone with demon bones? My eldest sister wailed for a long time before finally stilling. My eldest sister bled to death, and shortly after, the third prince was defeated and killed. The carnage of the previous life did not repeat itself. The realm was restored to peace, and the emperor began to settle accounts with those involved in the rebellion. Because of my letter, the Lin family was unable to escape. Lord Lin and the First Lady were sentenced to exile in Lingnan and forbidden from returning to the capital for the rest of their lives. I received a letter of disinheritance and was no longer a member of the Lin family, so I was able to remain safely in the imperial city. On a warm spring afternoon, white magnolia blossoms bloomed on the branches above my head. The sound of a spatula clanging against a pot came from the kitchen. A wisp of smoke rose, mingling with the aroma of food, tantalizing the taste buds and soothing the soul. Lian Yun removed the book covering my face, her eyes bright and smiling. "Miss, you're awake. I made your favorite sweet and sour fish." The story ends here.